YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and we're through 7 weeks of the NFL. We're now on to week 8, halfway through the season, and we got updated power rankings like we do every single Tuesday. Also have plenty of predictions and NFL coverage covering the trade deadline. A bunch of videos already up on the channel covering that. We'll have grades if there's any big trades that go down. So we got you covered. So please subscribe. Almost at 60K. Really appreciate the support. Follow that Twitter. Any trades that go down, any news that go down, we talk about on there first. We talk during live games. It's a must follow. Link down below. Instagram, podcast, Patreon. A lot going on. Links in the description and comments, and they're on the screen if you need any of them. That Patreon has a bunch of extra content here covering the NFL. Junior, who was on fire picking this year, has his score predictions on the Patreon. I have my bets of the week for the NFL and for college football. Also have top 25 college football score predictions. Updated playoff predictions. Started those last week. We're updating them every single week. You see the seedings for the NFL, in my opinion, then who wins each round and who wins the Super Bowl. And those could possibly change each week. Bonus content, Discord access, much more. Week 8 power rankings. The Jets remain at 32. No surprise there, but they did play the Bills. I don't want to say well. I guess close is the correct word. They didn't really play them well. They had an opportunity to win the game. They couldn't close it out, really. I mean, the Bills were just a better team, but the Jets stay at number 32. 31, the Jags go down one spot to 31. Let me reveal, before I talk about the Jags, let me reveal the Giants at 30. I thought about moving the Giants down below the Jags, but I mean the difference, though, why I didn't was because just the losing streak that the Jags are on. You know, they haven't won since week 1 against the Colts. They pulled off an upset in that game, and they really been going downhill because teams are able to game plan on them. They just don't have enough talent there. But the Giants, head-to-head, who knows who would win that game. Giants did get a win just a week ago in week 7, though. I thought they outplayed the Eagles and still lost. What do you make from that? They're capable of outplaying a team like that, so maybe they're better than 30, but when you finally do outplay somebody, or maybe for the second time in the year, you still lose. So it's kind of a big positive, not a big positive, a small positive and a big negative there. They moved down one spot to number 30. 29 is the Cowboys, down 7 spots. Now as we get more identities on team, record may not matter all that much. It kind of matters when, it definitely matters, obviously, but it matters more earlier in the year when there's not much splitting up the teams. But the Cowboys may have one more win than some of these teams down here, but the current state of that team is just, it's not the team that has more than one win. It's just not that good of a team right now, the current state of the Cowboys. So they definitely are deserving to be down here, and that's why they're down 7 spots, number 29. No movement here. The Vikings have been extra disappointing this year. They have not played good football. Offense has looked good at times, but very inconsistent, turning over the ball. Defense has not looked good. They had a bye week, but they remain at 28. The Bengals remain at 27. They played the Browns pretty well. A game they probably should win, based on what is happening within the game. But a tough task. They had some offensive linemen go down. They're at 27. They remain at 27. 26, the Texans remain there. Just not enough to make these teams move here. Same with the Falcons. The Falcons outplayed their opponent but still lost. They played maybe better than some of these other teams, but they should have won. They still lose. So that's kind of a small positive again and a big negative. There's just really no room to move these teams. There's no reason to move these teams here around. Number 24, Washington football team's going to move up 7 spots. Pretty easy to jump those teams that they jumped, so it helped that all those teams lost. Vikings are on a bye. There's no reason to move them up, of course. So Washington gets their second win, dominating fashion. It was the Cowboys. So a mixture of them getting their second win in dominating fashion, but plus, look at those other teams up there. A combination of that, helps them move up 7 spots, which is quite a bit for a struggling team, but that's how it works here. So that for now, they're at number 24. 23, the Patriots down 3 spots. They're just extra disappointing right now. Cam not playing well. Nobody's really playing well. The receivers really can't get open, but Cam can't hit them when they are open. The offensive line isn't playing as good as it did the first few weeks. The defense is nowhere near as what it was. They're missing tackles, assignments, they're missing out on, tackling attempts, putting themselves in the right position on angles. It's a disaster, just all over the place. They might be sellers at the trade deadline because they're just plain and simple not good enough right now. Could be a sneaky team at any given time. They got the Bills this week. That could be an interesting game for the AFC East. But they're down 3 spots, been pretty disappointing. 22, the Broncos. Yeah, they were off a win in Week 6. In Week 7, they were extra disappointed. They did play, maybe when it's all said and done, the best team in football, or one of the best teams in football, in the Chiefs. But the Chiefs didn't need to do all that much in offense. They really didn't, because the Broncos were playing that bad pretty much in every phase. Well, I guess their defense played okay. So another disappointing loss for the Broncos, down 3 spots to number 22. Wish we got to see the Broncos team healthy from the start, but there's a lot of teams that have that injury situation. Eagles up 2 spots. Not the best win, but a win's a win here. I feel like that for both their games. Both their wins, they very easily could have lost both, but a win's a win for those. That's the best way to describe them. Other the Giants kind of outplayed them until the end. I think if Evan Engram caught the ball, they could have put him away, but the Eagles clutch up, make some plays down the stretch, win the game. Not the most impressive 2-win team. I don't know if there is an impressive 2-win team, but yeah, so they're up 2 spots at number 21. A game against the Cowboys, 21 versus 29 this week. You would think a must-win for the Eagles there. We will see. 20, the Chargers up 4 spots. A 2-win team that might be a little more impressive than the Eagles there. It feels like they're better than the 2 wins, based on their resume, based on what they put out in the field. At the same time, it felt like they dominated the Jaguars, but it ended up kind of being, they won by 10, but it kind of felt like it was close. Like the Jaguars could have won the game if they would have converted some 4th downs or kicked the field goal at some point, so that's it was a positive and a negative for the Chargers as well, because they dominated. It was a good performance. Great to see from the rookie Justin Herbert. Joey Bosa played good. They're really great in some spots, but kind of leave the Jaguars hanging around when you're playing that good. It's something you got to worry about a little bit maybe, but that's kind of just classic Chargers, just keeping teams in games. But it feels like they're better than the record, so they are up 4 spots to number 20. 19, the Panthers are down 1. Yeah, they're on a little bit of a losing streak, even though they were fresh off a big winning streak. They still overall been impressive for the most part this year. Close game against the Saints. One they probably could have pulled off, but they're down 1 spot. I didn't really feel the need to punish them anymore in this, or any teams to move up ahead of them based on what they've been doing. So it made sense. The Panthers only moved down 1 spot to number 19. Number 18 is the Lions. So they're getting a little bit of a win streak going. They're up 3 spots. The bad thing is I did think they got outplayed by the Falcons. The Lions got pretty conservative, which you feel like they should have learned their lesson. With that, they kind of blew a couple comebacks already, mainly the Bears ones, but they were up early in the Saints and the Packers game. But I felt like the Falcons played better than most of the game. The Lions clutched up down the stretch of the game and won the game. But at the end of the day, they're on a bit of a winning streak, and they're a pretty sneaky team because their offense the offense is going to be better than what it was against Atlanta. But we know their offense can pretty much score on anybody. Not every week though. And the defense feels like it's getting better. It felt like one of the worst in football to start. It's definitely I wouldn't put it anywhere close to the worst in football now. It's getting much better. So they could be a sneaky team there, and they're on a bit of a streak. So they're up 3 spots here. 17 is the Raiders. The Raiders moved down 7 spots, and that has to do a little bit with them, a lot with the teams that had to move up. So I think you don't want to focus on it goes for any team. If you see a team move down, how do they move down this many spots? How do they move up this many spots? It's really not all about them. It's kind of what's going on around them. Another thing I like to remind people that these aren't predictions. We update these every week. But the Raiders moved down 7 spots. A disappointing loss. It was against a really good team. But other teams are winning. The Raiders, though, every year there's at least one team that's that inconsistent team where at this point of the year they kind of just stay where they're at. The Raiders, they win 1, they lose 1, they're impressive, but they're not impressive, they're disappointing. It's kind of, how can I trust them? So it might be, at this point, it might be a team that sticks around 17 unless they can prove to me that and I know they played really good teams, but they got to prove to me they can stay consistent, win games. A big game against the Browns, that definitely can help them move up, but I need more consistency out of the Raiders here. They're down 7 spots after a disappointing loss. 16 is the Dolphins. Had a bye week. They've been impressive this year on both sides of the ball, actually, but because they just stay put because they're on a bye, but because what's going on around them as well. 15, the Bears are down a whopping 8 spots. That has to do with about 50-50, I'd say, about other teams having to get in the top 14, so they had to move down. A lot of teams with a similar record, similar play this year, but yeah, they got dominated in that Rams game, and a much more of a test for them in that game, and the offense continues to disappoint. Being a one-dimensional team doesn't really help your cause. in ranking system like this. So they got to figure something out on offense. Defense it wasn't too great against the Rams, but it's been been the key piece to that team. They're still hanging on to that Bucs win for their resume there, but they are down 8 spots after that one, with a lot of teams definitely on their way up into the top 14, like the San Francisco 49ers, who are starting to get hot. They were really cold, and now they're getting pretty hot now. More injuries popping up though after that dominant win against the Patriots, so that's kind of the negative part. But they're looking good. We're a very well coached team. It's a football team. They play hard, and they're going to out physical the other team. On the other side of the ball there. So that's why I think they're a very solid team. Mainly there. But yeah, they've been impressive the last couple weeks. So yeah, they are up to 14, up 3 spots. They did get dominated by the Dolphins a few weeks ago. The Dolphins can get back on track. They play the Rams this week, and they can really get a boost from that. We will see. 13's the Colts. They had a bye. They're going to stay put. They've been pretty impressive this season. Number 12 is going to be the Browns. The Browns actually moved down 1 spot, and they had a close game that very well they could have lost against the Bengals, but at the end of the day, they won the game. At the end of the day, they were impressive down the stretch on offense. Baker Mayfield was extremely impressive. Odell was out. That makes it even more impressive. So I'm not really punishing at all the Browns for barely beating the Bengals. It's really not how I do things here. It's more of other teams impress me that much more. If the Browns would impress me in that game, which they impressed me on offense, they impressed me in ways, but a game that could have been losable. If they went out there and dominated, it would have been very tough to move them down, while other teams I thought had dominant performances and felt like those teams need to move up. So that would mainly be the reason why the Browns moved down a spot, but still sticking around, better than what we expected going into the year. A good rank here at number 12. The Rams are up 4 spots to number 11. A game they should win against the Bears. I feel like head-to-head, they're definitely the better team. Head-to-head. Or, still questionable who's the better team against the field. That's definitely questionable still. You can debate it. So it's a game they should win, but they went out and dominated, and I like that very much. I think they could have done more offensively. I think they could have done a little more. But, overall, they dominated that game there. Defensively, they look very impressive, as they should. But they're going to be up 4 spots after a win like that to number 11. Number 10 is going to be the Bills. The Bills are down 1 spot. Another similar situation what I talked about already with the Browns. The Bills had a very disappointing outing, even though they won against the Jets. But am I moving them down because of that? Not necessarily. Other teams are just more impressive, where I have no problem moving those impressive teams ahead of them because they didn't have the most dominant, a great win. If they would have went out there, even against the Jets, if they would have went out there and just blown them out and played the ball that they should have played, there was really going to be no reason for me to move them down. So other teams mainly just hopping over the Bills, and they really aren't playing the best ball the last 3 or so weeks there, but they were playing great ball before that. Which Bills we're going to get against the Patriots? Which Patriots are we going to get against the Bills? That should be a good AFC East battle, 10 versus 23 there. Number 9 is the New Orleans Saints. Haven't had the in terms of the Saints, what you expect from the Saints. They haven't really played Saints ball completely this year, but they're on a streak and they're winning and they're picking it up, I think, on both sides of the ball there. So another win. It's a game that, especially with the guys they had out, it's a game that could have went either way, and they play a pretty impressive team in the Panthers, and they beat them there. They hang on. So they're up 3 spots. I think with them having a little more of a streak going and getting a pretty solid win against the Panthers was enough to move them ahead of some other teams there. So, they got a big game against the Bears, 9 versus 15, a game that can go either way. Let's see which Saints we get. Let's see what Bears we get, because we've kind of seen the bad and the good from both teams. So that should be a pretty good game there. So Saints up 3 spots, number 9. Number 8 is going to be the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm hesitant to put them up here because it's another one of those teams where can they stay consistent to continue to move up or be deserving of moving up in the power rankings. But being the Seattle Seahawks, pretty big deal. And they have some pretty good wins this year, but they have a couple bad losses. They lost to the Panthers and the Lions. It's not ideal, but they're on the positive side of things right now going forward. So they're up 6 spots, and they overall have been impressive this year. It's a team that I think could beat anybody or lose to almost anybody, not like the Jets or anything where they handled them already, so that was proven. But it's one of those teams. So excited to watch them going forward. It's a good young team. They're up 6 spots after a very impressive win. I do think they matched up. That's why I picked them, why they matched up well against the Seattle Seahawks. But does that mean they're better than the Seattle Seahawks? I think they can be head-to-head. They kind of shown that. And they match up well against them, but are they against the field? That's kind of the questionable part there. But they are up to number 8, which is a pretty good ranking for them. Can they stay there, though? Can they stay there? Can they stay consistent, keep winning? Because at one point we expected them, after they started off great, they're going to keep winning. Look, they got the Panthers, they got the Lions, they're going to keep winning. Maybe worst case, they lose one of those. They end up losing one, though. So that's kind of sticking in my mind. So it's still part of the resume, but they are very much on the positive side of things right now and playing some impressive football, really on both sides of the ball. Even though they give up some points, on both sides of the ball, they can be impressive. So that's also a bonus, too, in ranking teams. What's their state of their team in general? 7's going to be the Seahawks. They're down 4 spots. They did just lose to the Cardinals. I still have the Seahawks ahead of them because I think the Seahawks have proven they're the better team against the field. They're still a top-tier contending team, but they do need to add edge rush pretty badly. They do need Jamal Adams back as well, which they should get him back. But they're down 4 spots. Their resume is kind of good and, not that impressive in the same way. It's not bad. You can't say it's bad when you're just doing nothing but winning games for the most part. But the resume is good because you're winning. You're putting up a lot of points. You show dominance at times. But then, do they have that statement win? So that's kind of a downside for them. I don't really penalize team for that. But you can't stay at the very top because some teams can stay towards the top if they lose at this point of the year. If I'm very confident on their identity and they've proven over and over again, because some teams will lose eventually. But, yeah, if you have more of that statement win, you play better on defense, then it'll have been tough to move you down to 7, but 7's still a very good rank even after coming off a loss. 6 is the Packers. No movement from them. There could have been some movement up, but it's tough to move some of the teams in the top 5 down. That's kind of the problem here. You lose to the Bucs 2 weeks ago. It was disappointing for them, but that is a pretty good team. They beat the Texans. It's impressive with the injuries that they had, and they dominated that game, but there just wasn't enough to move them up. If they were sitting in the next tier of any other tier, they would have moved up quite a bit for that win. But we're talking when comparing them to the top 5 teams there, but they were impressive for what they missed, and they are a contending team anytime they can move up. The Ravens at 5. That's kind of where I had to think about this, is because could I move the Packers ahead of the Ravens? The Ravens had a bye week. I just don't know if there's enough there. The Ravens still a really good team. They only lost to the Chiefs. It wasn't really a statement win for the Packers. That's why I had a tough time with those, because the Ravens were off the bye. I just didn't really feel the need to move the Ravens down, but that was a debatable one even for myself there. But they both play, I would say big games. Packers play the Vikings. It's a big game because they're rivals. That's about it, nothing else. But the Ravens play the Steelers this week, so obviously there could be some movement with a team like the Ravens for sure. We definitely expect there to be. And then 4 is the Titans. They were number 1. They're going to move down 3 spots. I thought about this one as well. I thought about ranking them anywhere in the range of 4, 5, and 6. I kept them at 4 because they were at 1 for a reason. They were very impressive this year. This offense still looks like maybe the best in football. They had that big statement win on the Bills. So they were at 1 for a reason. They did come off a loss. They were disappointing for most of that game, but they showed that they, with the slow start, they were still able to dig themselves to the hole, which I don't think any team really can. Maybe like a team like the Chiefs can. So They moved down 3 spots because they lost, but it was tough to move them down any further than that. But it was definitely another thing that was kind of debatable for myself. I could debate myself on that, but that's what I ended up going with there. Still got an impressive resume. They were an impressive team. They were at 1 for a reason, but they are down 3 spots. Number 3 is the Buccaneers, up 5 spots. We're at the point of the year, like I mentioned, where record really doesn't matter all that much. It matters, but now that we got identities on teams, I can tell you who's playing the best ball, who are the best teams right now, just based on what they've played, based on what they've shown. We're not predicting going forward, but the Bucs, they've shown me that they're a very, very good team. They might have one more loss than some other teams, but this is a very good team. They're showing it on both sides of the ball. I can't tell which one I like better, the offense or the defense. I literally can't tell because they're both that good. A statement win on the Raiders after a statement win on the Packers. You see, going into that Packers game, they got healthier. They were kind of cutting down the slop and the penalties, which cost them a game against the Bears, and they weren't too healthy. Now they are healthy. They're cleaning up that slop that we expected early in the year because it's a new team, a lot of new faces, and they are damn good, and they've proven that on the field. So that is why they're up 5 spots to number 3. And then number 2 is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs, up 2 spots. Going into the year, the kind of the best team in football, and then losing to a team like the Raiders kind of took that number 1 spot away. But they've still proven that they're a very good team all around. We all know that. Maybe you want a little more statement wins, but the Ravens win's a pretty good statement win there. The Bills is a good statement win. So I think we're all just left wanting more just because we expect them to be the best team in football. So that's the only reason why. They have statement wins. What I like against the Broncos, a game they should win, but they can show they can dominate on other sides of the ball other than the offense, on defense and special teams. So they are a team, as we expected, a full, complete team. So they're up 2 spots to number 2. But number 1's a no-brainer right now. Steelers have to be number 1 in every single power rankings, in my opinion. They probably won't be on every single one. But they should be. They are the best team in football right now. It's fine if you're not predicting them to be when it's all said and done in the Super Bowl, but that's not what – I don't think any power ranking should be like that, but that's not what mine are about. They're updated every week for a reason. They're a week-by-week thing for a reason. Steelers, we talked about the Bucs. I can't tell which one I like better, offense or defense, and that's why I'm so high in the Bucs going into Week 8. Same thing with the Steelers. They're undefeated. Offense, defense, ridiculous. I think I do like the defense a little more, but ridiculous. Both sides of the ball, playmakers everywhere on both sides of the ball. They go up, they shut down the Browns, a hot Brown team. They dominate them, and they go and beat the Tennessee Titans. I wish they dominated early, and that was so impressive. I wish if they would have kept that. There's no going up from there, but I'd be that much more impressed. But there's really no being more impressed than what they're doing right now. So they're the number 1 team right now. I just don't see how you can't have the Steelers at anything other than number 1, but somebody probably will. But those are my rankings. Again, updated every week. Because of that, they're not predictions. It's based on how teams are playing, and we're starting to get strong identities on teams. Teams are starting to prove us, make things fact for us right now. So that's good. That's good for making power rankings as well. You don't have to rely too much on the record anymore, which obviously record matters in sports. But yeah. That's the power rankings. We're updating these every single week. We also got picks for every single game every week, score predictions for every game every week, all year long. Plenty of coverage, even with the trade deadline. Plenty of coverage even in the offseason, free agency, and the NFL draft. So we got you covered. Please subscribe. Smash that like button. Turn notifications on. And stay tuned for more of the videos. Really appreciate the support. Thanks for watching the video. Goodbye.